how it's referred to when you're talking about Mr. Patel's cut right there. But to get back to Cam Hayward, too, when you see the structure of his deal, Mike, is this something that once again kind of emphasizes how the Steelers are really going all in this year, looking at the age and kind of the experience on their roster?
Well, there's a little bit of that, especially when you're bringing in guys from the outside and a guy on the inside who redid his deal last year, and you're saying, well, if you're doing it for them, you should do it for me, too, as well. And I told you, I mean, Hayward said that he mentioned to them last year when he did that deal that he was going to get back to the table after having a terrific season. The Steelers, in their minds, thinking, no, we did that deal for you last year. So that was a bit of the standoff, and that's why it took a long time, many weeks of conversation, many months of conversations, really, between the Steelers and Hayward's agent, Michael Parrott. But they finally got to an agreement where both sides felt comfortable for Hayward to set foot on the field today. If they get to the postseason and they win some games in the postseason, that'll help Hayward get to the maximum value of his contract. But enough to get him on the field and playing today against the Jets.
Yeah, Mike, always appreciate your insight. And by the way, there's also Aaron Glenn making his debut.
Yeah, how about that?
We'll sprinkle in some of that conversation a little bit later here on Game Day Preview. Mike, enjoy, stay warm, cool. I don't know exactly what it looks like. He looks like he's fine.
He's clean.
Yeah, you're always.
As they say in England, he's smart.
Look, these warm-up shots, a little bit of a fashion show at times. This is cash, right? Jaden Daniels is like, hey, we're.
No, he's styling. He's got a designer. He's not
for
pulling it off the
sure,
rack.
but it's not.
Someone's
I mean, I'm not suggesting he's off the rack. Like, let's not get crazy here. It's NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, no, he's good. I'm just saying it, not wearing the business suit. Jane Slater joins us right now. We got the Commanders and we got the Giants. Jane, always good to see you. Break this down for me. Jaden Daniels, aside from the pre-show or pre-game attire, this is a guy who absolutely can ball. You've been around this team a little bit over the last couple days and certainly had an opportunity to talk to a few of the players. What are they telling you about the encore performance from their quarterback?
Jaden Daniels is poised to make yet another step. You know, last year it was his wheels that stood out for us. 891 rushing yards on the ground. And I've got a report coming up in Game Day morning here in just a bit, guys, about that virtual reality headset. Remember, that was something he brought over from LSU. They won't let me see it. It's been under wraps. But what I can tell you about this thing is they upgraded it. No more pre-snap look at defenses. Now they just pop up when the play starts, forcing him to read coverages on the fly. Remember, they already sped the plays up so Sundays feel slower. All of that just so Daniels can sharpen his skills. But I think probably the most encouraging thing for him is they went out and got him some runners. Guys like Deebo Samuel that you can use at the receiving role or the backfield. You also have Bill McCroskey-Merritt, this kid who's already flashing with the first team, and then Austin Eckler. So they don't want him having to carry it all on his own, guys. So I think that's really, really big for Jaden Daniels and his development. And it certainly helps that they got Terry McLaurin re-signed and back here and happy.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget about Terry McLaurin. He's a big part of this. But, Jane, let's go to the other side and the defense. We saw the Giants. They added Abdul Carter to already go with some good edge rushers with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. What does he add to the mix in trying to slow down Jaden Daniels?
Versatility, Steve. You know, when I talked to Dan Quinn, I said, you had a versatile outside edge guy in Micah Parsons. How does that help you prepare for this? And he knows that they're going to scheme him and move him all over the field. And when I caught up with Brian Burns pregame, that's essentially what he told me. He said it allows us to have a couple of tricks up our sleeve. So they seem as though they are looking forward to this. But if you looked at the preseason, the interior of this defensive line was a bit of a soft spot for them. So I do anticipate the Commanders to really try and go at that. Now, it was raining here today. They had a tarp on the field. The grass isn't that wet, but it is a little bit of a little slippery. So I imagine both teams are going to try to run the ball a little bit more today.
I think Dexter Lawrence is like, what's going on?
Dexter Lawrence heard there's a soft spot in the interior. Oh, boy.
Yeah, look, it's going to be entertaining. Jan, I know you were always on it inside this division. Appreciate the insight, and I know we'll get a little bit more on this matchup still to come here on Game Day.
Real quick.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Real quick, Andrew Thomas is out at left tackle for the Giants. That is going to be a big deal, and that means, speaking of those legs, Russell Wilson's going to be as mobile as he is. He has the second most rushing yards for an active quarterback right now.
Look, you hear that report from Jane. Giants fans know all about the movement on that offensive line the last couple seasons.
Want to hear.
Heard that story. We've lived through it, and there'll probably be a little bit more of that as the season unfolds. Jay, more from you still to come. Always appreciate those last-minute tidbits that Giants fans are certainly cringing hearing about offensive line issues already in Week 1.
Don't lie.
Oh, boy. Stars, they are out. Best quarterback matchup today, league's MVPs. Lamar, Josh Allen. What to expect on Sunday Night Football. Plus, Drake May scored 3 wins in his rookie campaign. The team has leveled up the talent around him. What it means for the opener against the Raiders, that's still to come. Back here on Game Day Preview, it's presented by Old Trapper.
Come on, man.
This is going to be a thing now. Where
Come
we
on,
just
man.
discuss and dissect players' wardrobe. That's not bad, though. Like, if you can pull that off, you just roll with it. Actives and inactives for week number 1. Some interesting names that are out there. Obviously, the huge story over the last couple of weeks, Micah Parsons and that deal to the Green Bay Packers, and Christian McCaffrey, who popped up this week. We got a report coming up from Ian Rappaport in just a second. One other name, inactive. Chris Godwin, not a huge surprise from that perspective. Ian joins us right now. All right, man, it is always good to see you. When I think about Kyler Murray, I didn't expect to see this, but when I was driving over to the studio, I saw one of your emails kind of pop into my inbox, popped up on the injury report. What's the latest? Okay. Ian, I think we're having some audio issues here and we'll get him back on in just a moment. But the point is on Kyler Murray, he did pop up on the injury report. We do have a report also on Christian McCaffrey and the calf injury that he was dealing with. The good news is you can see it right there, added to the injury, but will play against the Saints. And obviously there's an update on Xavier Worthy that we will get to in just a couple moments as well. But when it comes down to some of these actives and inactives, there's always a lot trickling through. The good news for us is we get to welcome in Cynthia Freeland onto the set. Yeah, we are back.
We're back, baby. We're back and better than ever.
All right, so can I just throw this out there? Because Kyler is a little bit of a surprise. Some of the other names that I did flow out there, like we were aware of some of these over the last couple days. He is going to play, but that is something that we're kind of monitoring, especially from a fantasy perspective.
Absolutely. And, the offense really runs through Trey McBride for them. So when you're looking at how this could have net effects going forward, it could potentially change the McBride or the Marvin Harrison Jr. capacity of things, but it could also change the run game. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're like a daily fantasy player, perhaps you consider a little Trey Benson. Why? Because they could use 2 running backs should there be some weird scenario where they don't want Kyler to get hit that much, or I don't know what illness he had.
Yeah, we know what the illness is.
But I would assume maybe if you don't feel good, maybe you don't want to get hit so much. So potentially having that extra running back out.
Yeah, I mean, this is one, depending on the illness, it's a stamina issue, right? We saw that last night with Mekhi Becton with the Chargers. He was sick during the day. He came back, but there were some points where he had to catch his breath and things like that. So, this is where maybe they can get some quick strikes in that offense and get him off the field and let the defense put the other offense on the field for a while.
All right, we will get back to Ian Rappaport with an update on all that stuff a little bit later here on Game Day Preview. Meanwhile, and I built it up in our last segment, this is an unbelievable matchup. Your reigning MVPs, last season Josh Allen, 2 seasons ago it was Lamar Jackson. You could have made a case for Lamar even last year. I mean, the efficiency numbers were off the charts, and yet when I think about what the ability is to elevate each of their respective teams, I mean, no one would be surprised if we're talking about one of these 2 teams in the Super Bowl this upcoming season. What's the most significant thing in your mind, Cynthia, about this quarterback matchup?
I mean, the good thing is they don't play each other. Well, maybe it would be bad. I'd like them to play each other. But when I'm looking to see about Josh Allen and if he can handle what's going on in this wide receiving core, like they said something like, we're very comfortable with who our wide receiver. Do you have a choice not to be? Because I think it's a little late for that if not. But I am comfortable with their O-line. When I look to see what's going on, this is a team that played the second most snaps in terms of all 5 guys last season, and they returned all 5 of them. I was told Osiris Torrance, the right guard, had an even better offseason than last year, which could be really, really impressive if he somehow is better than that. They play sometimes they play really, really wide. Sometimes they go a little bit narrow, wide, narrow, wide, narrow. And that's actually, that amoeba situation helps Josh Allen be the guy who scored, a measly 27 rushing touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. Drop in the bucket for him.
That.
But that kind of chemistry, you can't duplicate that easily. So for me, sure, if you're comfortable with your wide receivers, great. But I'm more comfortable with the O-line.
They're beat up. I mean, Shakir, he's down to. I like the accordion split. Cynthia talking about the tight splits, the wide splits on the offensive line. Look, when I look at this game here, it's one, giveaways and takeaways. It usually comes down to that. We've seen the postseason, Baltimore gives the ball away, and that's kind of been the difference in this game. But this is where I also think the Ravens' passing game is really going to be big today, because the big question, besides the wide receivers for the Bills, is their secondary, right? Trey White, the veteran who comes back to corner, he's doubtful for today. He's got an issue. They've got some other injuries in the backfield, including the first-round draft pick. So this is where someone like Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and even Mark Andrews, who's on the redemption tour in Week 1, can come out and have an impact. And we know Lamar and that mobility right there always puts defense under stress. So, Cynthia, I think, again, when you look at this passing game for the Ravens, it has an opportunity to do some stuff. And, of course, if they get it going, it pulls that defense off the line of scrimmage so King Henry and Lamar can get some stuff done.
Fun fact, they always throw out, Bobby Babish throws out last 2 matchups last season. They throw out different defensive back configurations than they do in other games. Now, we don't have trends for them yet this year, but in general, they do kind of have a specific Lamar Jackson. Is it dime? Is it nickel? Meaning how many defensive backs do they got? They're going to throw out as many as they want.
They're thin, though. They're thin.
I know.
That's the thing. They're thin in the secondary.
I know, but at least they're going to try, right?
They got to try.
Bobby Babish. I love saying that. Bobby Babish.
Stick with us for the next couple of weeks, because as we get a little more data, one person on the set will know all about those trends. So we just need a couple more. The sample size is nil right now, but it will increase as we get some of these games to be played. Once again, this one is so juicy in my mind, and the Ravens roster is absolutely loaded. Your quest for a fantasy championship, it's officially underway. What's your edge in week number 1? His name is Michael F. Florio. He's out of the man cave, and he's on set with us.
What?
What's F stand for?
We'll find
Frank.
out. Well, the season is here, and we got you covered with NFL Plus. You can keep the NFL in reach. Stream live, local, and primetime games on mobile during the regular and postseason, and NFL Network, including 7 exclusive live games. We got live game audio and more. NFL Plus Premium. Get more football with NFL Red Zone, game replays, and NFL Pro. You can sign up today at plus.nfl.com/network. All right, we're going to do this. We are absolutely going to do this. Michael F. Florio joins us right now on set. And I say this because Steve White said, hey, what's the F stand for? You came in, you said Frank, and I said, my middle name is Frank. And then Steve White said his middle name is Frank.
And then Cynthia said her middle name is Frank.
We got very excited there for just a moment. But legitimately, you were with us all last season. You're out of the man cave. You're on the set with us, fully suited and booted. We love that about you. Take me through this. 5 starts, obviously guys that you draft pretty early, you know they're a lock in your lineup. But who do I need to focus in on? Let's start with that number 5 player that has to make sure that he's a start today.
David, Frank, and Njoku has to be in your lineups this week. Look, I didn't love him in draft season. He was more like closer to a lower end tight end one for me. He has to be in your lineup this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. He dominated against them last year. First game, he went for 14 targets, 10 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Then followed that up with 8 catches for 66 yards on 10 targets. And the thing is, Joe Flacco is his quarterback, and in the last 2 years, he has averaged 19 fantasy points per game with Joe Flacco. That's more like 11 per game with any other quarterback. And this feels like a safe bet that the Browns are probably going to be chasing points in this one. So I like David Njoku. DJ Moore is someone that I'm trying to get in a lot of lineups as well. Last year, he went for 106 and a touchdown in one of his games against the Vikings. In those 2 games, 24 fantasy points and 13 fantasy points. So a safe floor, a lot of upside. And the Vikings, they allowed the second most fantasy points and yards to wide receivers. So Caleb Williams, top target with Ben Johnson there. Very excited to see what he could look like. And then give me scary Terry McLaurin. All summer long, people were like, oh, he's holding out, don't draft him. And I was loading up on Terry, and I'm starting him everywhere I have him. He averaged 16.5 fantasy points per game against the Giants in his career. That's 13 against all other games. And an average game for him is 6 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. You're playing him. And then I backed Tyler Warren all summer long. There's no way I'm not playing Tyler Warren today. He, I think, could be the Colts' top target this season and potentially in week 1. Huge target across the middle of the field, yak guy, someone that Daniel Jones, I think, will rely on very heavily in a game where they could be playing catch-up and having to throw.
You know, the reality is, too, I mean, we talk about guys that we saw in the preseason pop. I think there was just excitement. I mean, we're doing a bunch of pregame shows, postgame shows on NFL Network for some of these games, and he was balling out.
And one person that balled out a ton this summer.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
I kind of hated that he balled out, but it's TreVeyon Henderson.
Yeah.
Look, I loved TreVeyon Henderson as a prospect throughout the draft process, and then he went, and you see this, every time he made a play like this, his ADP rose around. But if you took him at the end of August, you were taking him in the 3rd, 4th rounds of your drafts. That is someone that you draft to be a starter. And even if maybe Ramondre Stevenson has a role this week, he is a home run hitter, so he could do a lot of damage on limited touches. Plus, I don't see this as a game where the Patriots are behind numerous scores and can't run the ball. So I think volume will be on his side in this one. And the Raiders last year, they were just so against the run. And TreVeyon, he's going to run on everyone. So get him in your lineup this week.
You know, sometimes I think fantasy owners get a little concerned with, guys that they just haven't seen play on Sundays. And yet the reality is some guys, once you see them pop in the preseason and you just need a little bit of a nudge to go and draft them, that's what we're seeing with Henderson in a lot of our drafts.
And your projections are always going to have rookies low in week 1. Ignore them. You drafted them to start them.
Michael F. Florio. Michael Frank Florio. Just for clarification.
My dad would be happy you got that in there.
Dude, when other people use my mom always gets excited when they say Michael F. Yeah. It's very weird. There's like a naming pride that I think parents have for their kids. You're not going anywhere. More from Michael F. Florio still to come here. Meanwhile, we got a 1-3 start to open up the last 2 seasons for Cincinnati. That's no bueno. Why it's going to be different today. The answer's next.
for each other. Love y'all.
So stop me up. I'm gay to Steve.
What a run! And that's why they drafted him.
Body slam. Oh, baby, what a throw.
Guy's a special player. The beast does it again.
Week number 1, it's Game Day Preview, and it is presented by Old Trapper, along with Steve Weich and Cynthia Freeland. Mike Yam with you. We are dissecting all of the matchups today. Certainly got some good games over the last couple days. We got the opener. We had the Friday game in Brazil.
Yeah.
And here we go, off to the races. Austin, to be back with you, because I know we got to hang for the first half hour. You were with us for a little bit, but I know you've been dissecting a lot of the numbers heading into week number 1.
Oh, I love you guys. It's so good to be back. It's so much fun, guys. You know, what a good show.
I'm only planting that seed to her just so that she changes.
Oh, we're
her
going to have
middle name.
formulas like crazy starting next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ask my husband. I will not change my name. I'm very lazy. Do not underestimate the amount of laziness that is required. That is a lot.
I'll create some tension in the household if you do get that middle name to Frank, which we will discuss what that exactly means a little bit later. But as it pertains today, I know some fantasy owners are sitting there going, hey, like, what do I do with my lineup? Actives and inactives and what it all means. You know, Jane Slater, we heard from her in the last hour of the show. Andrew Thomas, out.
Ooh, that is
Huge.
not
Yeah.
not
That is
good.
massive. Huge.
Giants fans are like, dude.
Again?
We have been going through this the last couple seasons, a rotation on that offensive line. But let's head out to a significant matchup. It's Bengals and Browns. Cam Wolf is standing by for a little bit more. And Cam, I think everyone in that Cleveland area, heck, everyone in the country has been talking about the quarterback situation for the Cleveland Browns. I'm gonna table that conversation for just a moment, because the last time I checked, Joe Burrow balled out last year. But this is back-to-back campaigns where they have had some slow starts. I thought it was a really interesting wrinkle to see Joe Burrow out there early in the preseason. Why are things going to be different starting today?
Well, Yammer, I just saw Joe Burrow about 20 minutes ago, locked in as ever, getting pregame workouts. And look, he made clear we've got to prove it. Everybody talks about our talent. We've got to show it early on in the season. They changed some things philosophy-wise. Players told me they felt urgency from coaches earlier on in the offseason. They played starters in preseason. But the reality is going to be based on their energy. And I talked to Bengals corner Cam Taylor-Britt. He gave me a great quote. He said, we're going to have Super Bowl energy. He said, we're going to be like that bad 2-year-old who is just all over the place. You're going to hear us. You're going to feel us. We're going to trash talk. We're going to be loose. We're going to start that from week 1. And he said, we're going to beat the snot out of the Browns. That's the plan. And so they're already talking. They feel like they're going to be a different level team. We've got to see it. I did get a chance to talk to Bengals GM Duke Tobin in pregame, and I was talking to him about all the extensions. I said, usually that translates on the field. He said, not always, but we're crossing our fingers that all the money we paid translates to them starting out strong.
All the money you paid? Okay. I mean, they did pay some guys that were great, obviously, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. But what about the secondary? I'm still looking to see what's going on. I mean, give Trey Hendrickson some help. Give Shamar Stewart some help. Like, this is difficult, which is why, if you're a fantasy player, you want to look at Jerry Jeudy, because I need to give you the numbers. 811 between weeks 11 and 18 last season. He had 811 receiving yards, number 1 in the NFL over that time. Joe Flacco likes to throw it deep. Those 10-plus yard downfield passes were a problem. So when I'm looking at what is Joe Flacco going to do, he's going to look for Jerry Jeudy, for goodness sake. So I'm looking at that, and maybe, and I love what the Bengals have going on offense, obviously. But I think this is going to be a lot more fun to watch. The battle for Ohio, always very fun to watch. But I think, Joe Flacco does change the equation.
And Cam, I want to get back to you on this, because we've heard Joe Burrow say this a lot about playing against Myles Garrett is like his worst nightmare. What about that Browns defensive front? Because they drafted Mason Graham. They've got Myles Garrett now. What are they saying about slowing down this offense?
Well, Steve, they think that's the strength of their team. They think they're going to let them loose. And it was funny this week, we got a comment from Denzel Ward, the Browns corner, who said it's going to be a long day for the Bengals offensive line. They've been calling their shot out. They think they can disrupt things up front, not only with Myles Garrett, But with some of the other guys you mentioned, your Mason Grahams, your Highsmiths, I think that they can ultimately make it uncomfortable for Joe Burrow. They've had a lot of success against him in the past, but what the Bengals have going for him is Burrow said this is the healthiest week one he's felt in years. He said that the last few years I've had this and that, and he thinks it'll translate for them on offense. They're certainly going to double team Myles Garrett a lot, but how they win against those other players goes a long way into determining can they slow down this front. And of course, Jim Schwartz loves to bring blitz. I had a chance to talk to the Bengals tackle Orlando Brown about some of those blitzes. He said the cool thing about Burrow is that he has the full keys of our offense to keep us in the right protection at the right time, and we've honed that this offseason at a level that we haven't before because all of our guys have been here, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and the rest. And so they think they have enough for Myles Garrett, but what's the old saying? You got to plan until you get punched in the mouth or get sacked by Myles Garrett on the first play.
Cam, you look great as always, but what's your middle name?
My middle name is Darion.
Okay, so not
no
Frank.
Frank.
Okay,
No
we were
Frank.
just trying to see if it was Frank. Don't worry, we'll explain it to you later.
I'll
text
shoot you a text. By the way, you know why Cam's so good at his job? We showed the video of Joe Burrow warming up. You saw Cam like shaking hands.
He was
You weren't-
hobnobbing, right?
Yeah, you weren't kissing any babies, but that's next.
Pretty
And when you're doing the mayor run, we know that you'll be able to handle that. But Cam, always good to get the insight and the intel from you. Enjoy the game today, okay?
Indeed. Thank you, guys.
All right, let's look at Brees Hall. We heard from Mike Garafolo in the last hour of the show.
What do you say?
Look, the reality is there's a lot of buzz around this quarterback situation. I was disappointed we didn't get to talk too much about Aaron Glenn, who makes his coaching debut for a team that he used to rock that uniform. And at least in my mind, one of those significant storylines. And I got to imagine with Justin Fields and the dude we just saw in Brees Hall that we're going to see a heavy dose of this run game. But in your mind, as you dissect this quarterback matchup, you're kind of cringing. You don't think that's
I
the
just
case?
feel bad Elijah Vera Tucker's not there. It's a really big loss. And when you talk about, his torn biceps, he's out for probably the season.
Yep.
That changes your ability to run. The Steelers aren't going to be like, we'll just lay, don't worry about it. You go for it. No. They're coming for your lives always. So I just feel bad because I wanted to see, especially in the rain, it could be, I don't know.
But we talked earlier this week, the three of us, and I know you were all in on the Steelers with Rodgers, and I think they kind of have to be.
Well, first off, to Cynthia's point, stopping that run game for the Jets. I think Mike Tomlin doesn't know about Justin Fields, what he could do in the run game, so they're going to come up and they're going to scheme that up. Those edge guys are going to try, Highsmith and Watt, they're going to try to keep them in the box in the passing game and let Cam Hayward and those guys do their work once traffic is funneled their way. But I am bullish on that guy and the Steelers. Everyone's like, they're too old, this and that. Aaron Rodgers is fading. I think if they stay healthy, when you look at Pittsburgh last year, their issue was closing games out, and then, of course, they lost their final 4 games of the regular season. He's the type of guy, if he can stay healthy, he's not going to make those mistakes at the end of games. He's going to continue drives to let them win ball games. I am much more bullish on the Steelers with their offense. There are 4 tight ends, which help out, and the fact that they've upgraded their defense at several spots.
I'm with you on that, and play action, especially with the weather today. The play, Arthur Smith, if he saw his little thing, he's probably like, play action, okay, a little more play action. But that's going to be the type of thing where Aaron Rodgers can leverage some of these quicker passes we've seen. Do I need him to throw the Rodgers to Rodgers, Hail Mary? But I do want him to keep those quick passes going, keep the play action going, get the run game going. It may not be like the sexiest Aaron Rodgers throwing 60 yards, but it's going to be effective and efficient.
All 4 tight ends will be used. That's
right.
one thing that Arthur Smith and
You know who to throw a play action pass to? All of them.
All of them.
Every single one of them.
Cynthia, you know this, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I feel like every time I watch the Jets game, Aaron Rodgers is in the gun. I mean, just to kind of see everything.
He'll be under center a little bit today.
Yeah, so that, a little bit of some wrinkles and some defense schematically and what we could see from that team's offense. All right, the 2025 NFL season, it's already underway. Single game tickets on sale right now. Visit NFL.com/tickets to purchase tickets today. Verified tickets are available through the NFL Ticket Network, including Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, and Sports Illustrated tickets. When I do that read, I'm telling you, there's a game that people are playing at home. I'm just saying.
Think?
I know that's the case.
Think?
All right, out of
And
nowhere.
they're eating Old Trapper while they do it.
Well played, Cynthia.
Wow.
Out of nowhere, this
Great
dude just
job.
popped up on the injury report with an illness. How do you handle it when you set your lineup today? The answer is coming up next on Game Day Preview.
Carr from the shotgun. Lob for the end zone. He's got a man. He's got Andrews. He's got a touchdown. Touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 70 yards.
Jamar Chase, he will take it to the house.
Brock Bowers, touchdown Raiders. Lateral to Allen and reaching for the pylon. Are you kidding me? It's a touchdown. He will go all the way. Oh, this house is on fire.
Time for Who Scores. It's presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And if you take a closer look at some of the names here, Cortland Sutton, you're like, anytime score. Why is that? Well, dude finished last season pretty hot. Scored in 3 of the last 4 games to end the season. Kyron Williams kind of feels like a safe bet, if I'm being honest with you. He scored a touchdown in 12 games last year. Dude's been an absolute monster. I think the Kyler Murray situation is interesting because he popped up on the injury report. We did see him arrive to the stadium. A little bit of an illness, not exactly sure what it's all going to mean today. But Titans and Broncos is where we start things off as we bring back Michael Frank Florio onto the set with us. All right, Cynthia, I'll let you start off here. Titans and Broncos. Who do you think finds the end zone?
Evan Ingram. If you know anything about Sean Payton's tendencies, first of all, if he calls anyone a joker, just play them all the time. And he said that he was his joker. He also likes to target tight ends out of the slot. It's a trend that he did all the way dating back to the Saints. He brought in Evan Ingram, who, look, don't let that number 17 fool you. He's wearing number 1 now. And when you're wearing number 1, you are expected to do big things. This is a game where I think they'll want to get Bo Nix in rhythm early and often. This is another O-line that has a lot of continuity in it. So when you're looking at the opportunity here, I think they get number 1, no longer 17, into the end zone.
Yeah, I need Evan Ingram to score a couple of touchdowns because I have him on a team where I have A.J. Brown
Would you like me to dial up multiple?
Yes,
okay,
please.
there we go. 2 now.
There we go. And that's going to play into R.J. Harvey because I do think the Broncos are going to be playing from ahead in this game. Look, I'm a big Cam Ward believer, but it's his first game going up against maybe the toughest defense in the NFL, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. And if game script is on their side, I think we see the Broncos running the ball a whole bunch down the stretch, which means good things for R.J. Harvey, who was playing early downs in the preseason. We know Sean Payton loves to include his running backs in the passing game. Hot take this week, I wouldn't be surprised if both Harvey and J.K. Dobbins
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Cynthia, I'm almost like 99% positive. You were with the Broncos preseason, right? Okay.
Preseason, yeah. They got a lot of running backs that could score.
All right, on a non-scoring front, like that defense, you got eyes on them with Cam Ward on the other side?
Here's the thing. It'll be great, though, because then we'll have this thing, well, it started off so rough, Cam Ward. Now he's amazing. And that's why he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Just for a rookie to get out there against that team's defense, I would say not exactly a fun experience. And I'd say the same thing about the vets that have to go and match up against them. All right, Texans and Rams. We'll focus in on this squad. Is it obvious, Kyron Williams? Like, why not double down?
I mean, I'm just going to agree with, whatever DraftKings had to say about that. A little chalky. But that's okay, because ultimately, I want to keep Matthew Stafford upright. What do you do to get away from pressure? You run right at it. And who do you run at it with? The guy who was the best running back on your team, obviously. You paid him for a reason. This is why. To help keep Matthew Stafford not just upright, but also in manageable downs and distances. Obviously, they love him in the red area. I don't need to keep going any longer. Kyron Williams, touchdown.
Yeah, for some reason, fantasy people always want Kyron Williams. Like, they're like, oh, the next running back is going to be the one you want. And then Kyron Williams gets the job done every single time. I'll stay a little chalky here. I'm going to go with Nico Collins. Because,
gotta make the noise.
Yeah, right? Someone's got to catch the ball from Christian Kirk is banged up. Everyone else there is seemingly like a rookie, except for Xavier Hutchinson. But Collins is the clear go-to guy for C.J. Stroud in a game that could have a lot of points, could be back and forth. He led the Texans in end zone targets by far last year, and the Rams did allow the 5th most touchdowns to wide receivers. So it's not just because I have him in a couple of leagues and I could use touchdowns. I do think Nico Collins has a big game today.
All right, Cardinals and Saints. We find another running back?
We did. Alvin Kamara. Come on, guys. I know in our fantasy live league, and people are under drafting him. It's just him and Jahmyr Gibbs last year who combined for like 50-plus receptions and 500 or more yards. So you're going to want to take the guy who now has a coach in Kellen Moore who, just so you know, pretty good at figuring out how to use a star running back. Yeah. Saquon Barkley, anyone? Yes. Alvin Kamara is going to get the workload. Volume for me always equates to opportunities to have touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, I do like this Cardinals defense, let me be clear, in general, but I think that they're still going to have some tricks up their sleeve for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, he's great, and I'm going to go with the running back on the other side, who is also great, and James Conner. Like, he is always underappreciated as well in fantasy.
Totally.
People are always waiting, oh, he's getting old. No, he just continues to give you RB1 production, and last year, he was top 10 in goal line carries amongst all running backs, and no team allowed more rushing touchdowns to running backs than last season than the New Orleans Saints, and this isn't a hot take. I think GameScript's going to be on his side. I expect the Cardinals to be playing
super
with
hot take. Oh, no.
to be playing with a lead, and then you're going to see plays like that, right? Like, he's going to touch the ball plenty, probably going to find pay dirt.
Look, there's this underrated factor with him, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's got like Curtis Martin type vibes, like
Yeah,
back
for
sure.
Like, although I'm not saying like the comp
Isn't it
there.
the
Connor's
muscle?
big.
What was his thing? Anyways, keep going.
Well, Connor's obviously a little bit of a bigger dude.
Doug
but
Martin.
Oh, that was Doug Martin. Okay.
Yeah, there's some of that's going on when I think about the underrated nature. But DraftKings Sportsbook, the best place to bet touchdowns this season and this week. New customers can bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets instantly, and get over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV. Download the app and use promo code GAME when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Cynthia, you're the best. It's always good having you on the set with us.
I
know
love you guys.
pulling
All the
double
Franks.
duty. All the Franks.
All three
We're all
Franks.
here for you.
I
Tua
love
and
it.
Tyreek looking for a bounce back for the Finns. How big of a statement will the Miami offense make to open up the year against the Colts? We got that answer for you. Coming up next.
He's been the best player on the field, far and away today.
Stepped aside the box, pressure getting hot, hopped about the kettle.
Perfect dime from Drake May.
Mayday! May sits in there in pressure and throws a perfect strike in the middle where there's money to be made.
I'm ready for war, applying pressure cause I pictured this moment relentless. I'm running like engines inside of a
Drake May eludes a defender, trying to keep the play alive. Falling down, he throws to the end zone. It's caught.
He's got it!
Touchdown!
He's got it! Oh my God, Drake May!
Look, Drake May has got that dude now on his team. Stephon Diggs, the only wide receiver in the NFL with at least 1,100 receiving yards in 5 of the last 6 seasons. For a little bit more on this matchup, head to Foxborough. Our guy, Tom Pelissero, is there.
It is the start of a new era today for Mike Vrabel's Patriots and Pete Carroll's Raiders. And it might be a little bit of a sloppy start to that era. As you can see behind me, the rain has been coming down pretty steadily for several hours. It is expected to continue throughout the course of this game. Might make things a little bit edgy in the passing game. Also might make this a good day to keep an eye on a couple of impressive rookie running backs. For the Raiders, it's the number 6 overall pick, Ashton Jeanty, who rushed for more yards after contact than anybody in college football in a decade last fall at Boise State. He also can go around people. As tight end Michael Mayer told me, his jump cuts are nasty. For the Patriots, it is Travion Henderson, their second-round draft pick out of Ohio State. Look for the Patriots to use 3 backs today. Ramondre Stevenson, Henderson. You'll see a little bit of Antonio Gibson as well. A couple injury notes for the Patriots. Cornerback Christian Gonzalez out because of a hamstring injury. Will Campbell, the left tackle, number 4 overall pick, popped up on the report this week with an ankle. This is the guy who said he would fight and die for Drake May. No surprise, he's active. Yeah.
It's always one of my favorite things when sports guys become weather guys.
That's part of it.
That is definitely a part of the equation in Foxborough today. Sunday's statement is presented by PNC Bank. All right, the bigger statement. Let's focus in on this game. We'll go with the quarterbacks here with Geno rocking a new uniform this season.
Right.
Obviously, Drake May, who's leveled up the talent around him. Who makes the bigger statement?
Individually, it's going to be Geno Smith. I mean, that's not saying the Raiders are going to win this ball game in Foxborough, but I think Geno and Brock Bowers are going to have just a combination that's going to be tough for the Patriots to defend today. We saw that Christian Gonzalez, the corner for the Patriots, is out. So individually, it'll be Geno, even though both quarterbacks are going to be handing off the rock a lot.
You know, this Miami team has been kind of a topic of conversation off air for us. I know a year ago, if they were healthy, you really liked them. I think about this matchup. They're healthy right now. Hopefully that relationship is mended with Tua and Tyreek. They match up against the Colts. So let's talk about this. Tua or Daniel Jones? Who makes the bigger statement? I know.
Come on.
I
mean, really? Tua. Tua.
It's explosives all over the place,
Tua's
right?
going to make the bigger statement because that's the way their offense is designed. For the quarterback, a Tua timing offense. You've got Jalen Waddle, regardless of how him and Tyreek are getting along on the football field, that's an A to B connection. So it'll be Tua with the way the offense functions. Now, he will be under a ton of duress. Yeah. That's the one thing. That Colts defensive front is no joke. Leatu Latu is a real good player. Him and Tua are kind of tight, too. Maybe he'll take it easy if he gets some pressure on him.
I do. Some told me that won't happen. I do feel like I could story a good season for the Colts, but we'll dissect that down the road.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. And,
all right.
We'll only revisit if that's trending in that direction. Okay. Panthers and Jags. First time these quarterbacks are meeting each other in their very young careers, and Trevor and Bryce.
Yeah, this is going to be Trevor Lawrence. And look, one of the biggest stories that doesn't get talked about is Brian Thomas Jr. is still the dude at wide receiver for Jacksonville. I mean, I know we're getting excited about Travis Hunter, but Brian Thomas is one of the more special players. Yeah. And I think Trevor Lawrence in this game is going to have some opportunities to make plays. They got Liam Cohen in there to fix him, to get Trevor right, so to speak. We see this all the time. Coach getting a quarterback right. But I think Trevor, if healthy, especially at this point of the season, Brian Thomas, that guy right there is going to be doing big things.
This is the third time we're talking about having this conversation with a Jags coach getting the quarterback right.
Yeah.
His name was Trevor Lawrence. So remember when he was, I can't miss it. By the way, he's been paid handsomely.
Yes. And
now he's got some real weapons. And I love your take on Brian Thomas Jr. because everyone's talking about Travis Hunter, and I get that. Brian Thomas is good as they come last season. Steelers and Jets. Quarterback swap here. This could go. I feel like you could make a case for both of these guys.
I think we could. I think Elijah Vera Tucker, the offensive lineman, being gone for the Jets is really going to complicate things for the Jets offense. So I like Aaron Rodgers having the bigger impact in this day. I think he comes in, he settles things out, he spreads the ball around. You heard me talk earlier about the 4 tight ends. They're all going to be used. Jonnu Smith, that's someone who I think is going to be a big weapon. He's familiar with his offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, from their days in Tennessee. And we know Aaron Rodgers, going back to Green Bay, loves to use his tight ends. So as much as DK Metcalf is the big weapon, I think it's that type of game against a defense as good as the Jets.
You know, I heard Steve Mariucci a little bit earlier this morning talking about Justin Fields, and I thought he made a really compelling point that I hadn't heard a ton about. Every single year, this dude gets better and better and better. Had an opportunity, played well, and they said, no, last year. And they said, hey, no, Russ is our guy. I feel like there's the ability, if he has a good season, like that's the season big statement for Justin Fields.
Well, I mean, look, it's the Baker Mayfield, it's the Geno Smith, it's the Sam Darnold, and Justin Fields is very capable about this. And you heard Mike Tomlin talk about that earlier this year. I know we say that they benched Justin Fields for Russ. Justin Fields had a hamstring injury, I believe, from what I was told, that just took a while to heal, and then Russ got rolling, and that's why they decided to stick with that decision last year. But Justin Fields, in terms of, remember Mike Tomlin, he's a lot stronger than what people think. There's a lot of more things physically he can do than what people give him credit for. That means passing, because everyone knows he can run. So this is a talented player. They just got to figure out what they want to be offensively. They remember he's got a new play caller, a new offensive coordinator, so they've got to figure that out. But once they do, Justin Fields, again, it'd be great to see another redemption story at quarterback where a change of scenery results in some escalation.
I know we're going to talk Bucks a little bit later.
Yeah.
You name-checked them.
Love them.
Baker and Baker. Baker is sort of like now making NFL coaches.
He's the kingmaker. Baker the kingmaker.
I'm buying.
Like he's baking cookies that are just kings. I'm making head coaches. Come be my OC.
Think about what everyone nationally was saying about Baker Mayfield just a couple years ago. And all of a sudden he's found a home. He's balling out. They're winning games. I think you can make a case that they're one of the better teams in that conference.
Yes, they are. I'll make the case.
Yeah, and in that division, there's a stranglehold on that side as well. We're Bucks fans all of a sudden? It struck me as odd. All right, Lions.
We're talking about them. We're not fans of any team, Mike.
No, you're right.
You know you love the Giants.
I know. That defense is going to reign supreme. The Lions, they're our focus. They're coming up next. Back in studio with you. We got you covered because the NFL season, it's here. NFL Plus, we got you covered. Stream live, local, and primetime games on mobile during the regular season and the postseason. NFL Network, including 7 exclusive live games, live game audio, and more. NFL Plus Premium. Get more football with NFL Red Zone, game replays, and NFL Pro. Sign up today at plus.nfl.com/network. Terms and conditions apply. Actives and inactives, here's what we got for you. I know a lot of people circling that Micah Parsons game, questionable with that back. Certainly the big story over the last couple of weeks or so. Very significant from a Giants perspective. Andrew Thomas on that offensive line, inactive for this game. We heard Tom Pelissero a little bit earlier tell us that Christian Gonzalez will also be watching from the sidelines. For a little bit more context on all of this, NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport is with us. Ian, I want to do like the bad mobile phone commercial. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes, and I can hear you. I know we had some technical difficulties.
The best thing, I'll tell you, the best thing is that Everyone's watching in a bar right now, so they can't hear us anyway, except maybe the subtitles, but that's okay. Hi, guys.
Yeah, look, it's the only reason why I wear makeup, because no one cares what I say, right? Is really what it comes down to. Ian, legitimately, it is good to talk with you. Let's start things off with Kyler Murray, because that's where I wanted to start the conversation. It's the newest thing. I saw your email pop into my inbox. He popped up on the injury report. We did see him walking in with a very large pink sweater. Is he going to play today?
You also saw him walking in with some baggy jean shorts, I believe. Had no idea that was back in style. Didn't get the heads up on that one, thankfully. Yes, Kyler Murray is going to play today. Popped up on the injury report with an illness. He's been really battling something, more of a stomach issue for, I'd say, the last 24 hours or so. Sounds like he's going to be okay. He's gotten treated. Generally, players will have IVs or other medicine for this. But Kyler Murray is going to be okay, is going to play for the Cardinals against the Saints. He has no game status, which is good news. No game status means a player is good to go.
Christian McCaffrey, you and I had an opportunity to talk about him this week because of that calf. What's the latest?
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is also expected to play today for the San Francisco 49ers. This one was no certainty, though. On Thursday, McCaffrey suffered a calf injury during practice, a little bit of a calf pull, just kind of felt something, and as a precaution, pulled him off the field Thursday during individual drills, didn't practice at all on Friday, was on the field, was off to the side, then talked to reporters after, and they said, do you plan to play? And he said, I always plan to play. He was optimistic, but because of the situation last year, because everyone thought he was going to go right up until pregame warm, but you're just never quite sure. They had the walkthrough yesterday. My understanding is he was a big participant, a big presence in the walkthrough, further solidifying his status. Christian McCaffrey is expected to play today for the 49ers, so they get through that scare, at least for today.
Ian, Steve Leitch and I were actually on set for pregame for the Brazil game, and I think we all saw that collision. Xavier Worthy goes down. I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God, this dude's got this long flight. He's got to go back home. What do we need to know about the shoulder?
Well, my understanding is Xavier Worthy suffered a dislocated shoulder, which basically means it came out of the socket, which is certainly a scary injury, especially for a receiver with that friendly fire shot from Travis Kelce. There's no fracture. That's a good news, but he's still undergoing tests. Now, there is some uncertainty here regarding Xavier Worthy. The hope from the Kansas City Chiefs, the hope is that he is back at some point this season with a brace. That indicates at least there's some damage there, but the hope he's back with a brace. There is still a possibility, a little more remote, that he might need to have surgery, which, if that is the case, to restore stability, he would, of course, be out for the season. But as of now, the hope is that he will be back on the field at some point relatively soon with a brace on his shoulder.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me a couple times, that initial jolt of pain. That is not a comfortable situation, and I'm not a professional athlete. So he's going to be dealing with that throughout the course of the season. Thanks, Ian. You're the best, dude. Always good to see you, man.
You too.
Off the right side, touchdown in front. That's a big lead right there. And it's playoff time. Brett steps up, picked off. Touchdown Lions. Favre looking. Touchdown! Sterling Sharp! 55 seconds left. Sanders, 73 yards.
0-16 on 3, 1, 2, 3. 0-16.
Rainbow's got Driver for the touchdown. There are no Sundays left. 0 and 16. One last play. Caught for a touchdown. They come to Green Bay and post an improbable victory.
An unbelievable finish.
Kind of love seeing that throwback. What's your beef? It's presented by Old Trapper. All right, here's the theme here. You got like divisional rivals kind of going head to head. There's some beef that's there. I look you in the eye when I say, like, we're cool.
We're good. No beef.
We're good. There's no beef for us here.
We're good.
Let's stick with this matchup. I think about the North. You can make an easy case. Hey, the Lions, they got it done last year. Maybe you'll sprinkle a little Vikings, but because the Packers pull off that deal and we get that matchup, who's going to win the North?
Well, the question that I said to me is between these two teams that are playing today.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to say the Green Bay Packers. Now, I love the Lions. I think they're a loaded team. I think they're well coached. But I do think the Micah Parsons acquisition swings things in Green Bay's favor. People forget who's on the other side of Micah Parsons. Rashawn Gary is a really good edge rusher by himself. Now you've got two guys who can put pressure on the quarterback. The overall defense is pretty good. Now they're going to miss Kenny Clark. But I also think when it comes to the Packers, Jordan Love is somebody, we should have a little question about him, but when he's healthy, he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, he can put the ball wherever it needs to be put. He's an exciting player to watch. They've got him incredible speed at the wide receiver. So if it comes together offensively, this is a very dangerous team. Not saying the Lions aren't going to be dangerous, but defensively, they still have a few more holes than Green Bay, and that's why I would give them the edge. The Vikings are not going to be out of this. And also, when it comes to rivalries, more the Packers and Lions really been like rivals. That's a recent thing because Green Bay's kind of owned that, except at Lambeau the last couple of years they're playing this game. Right after Detroit won.
Yeah, Green Bay's got to handle business in the division. That was an issue for them a season ago. By the way, I was just being a punk annoying you when we're sprinkling in the Vikings just because.
It's true.
But I mean,
they're going to be good.
They are going to be good. I had an opportunity to actually see those guys in the preseason.
You're being a punk. You're a truth teller.
Yeah, I always try to tell the truth. Niners and Seahawks. I feel like in this division, the NFC West, it's everyone sort of looking up at the Rams. Here's how it all shakes out. Like we're seeing like the zigzag. You mentioned this to me in our commercial break. It's something we talked about on Power Rankings with Eric Edholm. The Niners' schedule feels like it is gettable, but the biggest threat to the Rams this year, which team?
I'm actually going to say the Niners because of that schedule. I think Seattle's going to be a really good football team. I mean, this is one of the teams we're not talking about enough, in my opinion. I think Sam Darnold's going to be fine in this scheme. I love some of their offensive talent, and I think defensively they are sound. Yeah. But you look at the Niners' schedule. Seattle's schedule is much more difficult. The Niners' schedule after a Week 10 game against the Rams, it is really light. And it's one of these things where they can go on like a 5 or 6 game type run and make a push to the postseason just because of the opponents on the schedule. Now, all that can change. We always look at stuff at paper when it comes to schedule, degree of difficulty, and all of that. Some teams come up and toughen it up. But I'm going to say the Niners. They've got players there. I'm a big Brock Purdy guy. If Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, that changes things. But their schedule really leans into them pushing the Rams.
Look, the only other thing that I would add to this conversation is, the Rams, when they're healthy, feel like the team to beat. We saw them, the walking wounded on that offensive line last season, and then they go on this great run. Heck, they were, a couple
their
points
defensive
away from
front.
Just absolute monsters there. But it does come down to health. And Matthew Stafford, I think we'll learn a lot. Is the back okay? And he's going to be able to hold up for an entire season. So just something to consider here. Biggest storyline this offseason until the Micah trade was what the Browns were going to do with their quarterback room. More specifically, how it was going to slot for Shedeur Sanders. I won't ask you a Shedeur question and Dylan Gabriel. I'll focus in on Joe Flacco. This is the right move, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yes, of all the options, he clearly was the best. We saw what he did when he was there a couple years ago. The coaching staff is still the same. Bill Musgrave is now the quarterback coach there. He's a big Flacco guy. Just the experience, too. I mean, their schedule starts off pretty tough. You do not want to throw a young player in there. And just the respect he has with the other guys on the team. He's the known quantity, so yes, Joe Flacco is the best option.
All right, earlier in the show, I had said, hey, we would talk a little bit about the Bucs, who have owned this division 4 consecutive seasons here. They match up against the Falcons. Is this the year for the ATL?
Talent-wise, it very well could be. I mean, they're loaded. We know offensively, Michael Penix coming in the 9-5. Michael Penix, number 9, throwing it to Drake London, number 5. That is a real legit threat. They've got a good offensive line, even though they lost right tackle Caleb McGarry, who's Michael Penix's blindside tackle. But the issue for Atlanta is defense. They're going to be relying on 4 rookies to be key contributors. They're starting 2 rookies at safety. We know the first 2 first-round draft picks are edge rushers. That's a lot of reliance. With the Buccaneers, they're a known quantity, and they've got a culture now. We talk about teams with culture like the Steelers and the Packers. The Buccaneers have a culture. And that guy right there, Baker, we talked about him, Baker the Kingmaker. You want to become a head coach, come be his offensive coordinator because he's getting you jobs.
Yeah. Falcons, by the way, realize that there's been some issues the last couple seasons about getting after that quarterback. They just said, you know what, we're going to go all in. 2 first-round picks on the defensive side, trying to help bolster that unit. Why not?
But do you know who they beat? They beat the Buccaneers head-to-head. They beat them every year. And then they lose all the rest of the
game. You feel like they're knocking on the door. And Raheem is awesome.
Their talent is there.
Yeah. So it's just something to consider as we focus in on what to expect around that division, and more specifically from the Falcons' perspective. Russ, ready to cook. He's going to be the starter for the entire season. Michael F. Florio, Steve, do they got it or are they all about it? That's next. All right, if there's news, we'll get it to you here on Game Day Preview. Ian Rappaport, we just heard from him a few minutes ago, but he just put this out on social media. Jaden Reed, dealing with a foot injury, questionable, is expected to play today, though. So that's some good initial news for that faithful. Led the Packers last season in terms of receptions and receiving yards, 55 for 857. Time for a little game. We're going to call it Doubt It or All About It.
For a week.
For 1 week. Don't really love this segment. The three of us will be back.
Yes.
But we're going to have to call it something else a little bit earlier today. We found out all three of our middle names, Frank. So
what are the chances?
I know.
I mean, this is great.
We were all yelling like small school children, okay, about that in one of our breaks. All right, Steve, I'll let you kick things off here. Russell Wilson will be the Giants starter all season long. Are you doubting it or all about it?
Oh, I'm doubting it. They've already got a package as reported today for Jackson Dart to come in for certain packages today. So, Mike, Russell Wilson is on borrowed time.
Yeah, and for that exact reason, in Superflex leagues, I have Jackson Dart stashed where you play two quarterbacks. I have him stashed away on my bench because he's shown in the preseason he brings upside and he can run, and that is a cheat code for quarterbacks in fantasy.
Yeah, I got to imagine too, from a fantasy perspective, when you're matching up against the Giants, if you have a player that should probably scare you. This defense is pretty legit, Mike.
Yeah, and I think Malik Neighbors is amazing. I think he is going to be maybe the best wide receiver in fantasy this year. So I'm all about him in this Giants offense. But after that, it does tend to thin out very quickly for fantasy purposes.
And let's not forget the Giants' schedule is a murderer's row. I mean, week to week, they are facing a hammer. There's no relief at all.
Toughest schedule in the NFL. And believe me, every Giants fan is very much aware of that. Patriots, ready for a playoff push? Last time it happened, 2021.
I doubt it. This is the softest thing I'm saying today. I'm not saying this with nearly the conviction that I'm going to talk about everything else, because I think they're going to be the most improved team in the NFL. They had 4 wins last season. I think they had at least double that. But when you just look at the numbers, Mike, you look at the AFC West, there could be 3 playoff teams come from that division. Once again, you look at some of the other divisions, there could be another playoff team, a second playoff team coming from the AFC North. I think they're going to knock on the door. I just don't think they bust through.
I picked them to be the last wild card seed in my early season predictions. But yeah, it was really hard to leave off all those teams you mentioned. But for fantasy, I'm really excited about Drake May. I mentioned Travion Henderson last hour. I love Travion. He was my most drafted player this season. But Drake May, I think he's got all those playmaker genes. And what we didn't see last season that I think we'll see a lot more, he can run. And I'm going to keep saying that when it comes to quarterbacks. If they run, they get a big boost in fantasy.
We always talk about the parity in the NFL, teams that struggle one year and then the next year they're in the postseason. Was this just a matter of, hey, just finding
someone's got right? It was hard not to pick the exact same 7 AFC teams from last year. Minus I put the Bengals over the Steelers.
And their offensive line should be improved. Sure. I mean, they got the 2 rookies, though. They're starting a rookie at left guard and left tackle. Rarely have rookies started side by side in offensive line to open a season. So that's going to be hugely important for the Patriots. You talk about Drake May running. Last year, he didn't run as much schedule-wise. He ran out of necessity. This year, they can do some things schedule running for him, and I think that's where Josh McDaniels, he hasn't really had that mobile type of quarterback that he can do this with. So I'm really interested to see his creativity there.
Yeah, Campbell, you saw that one of the big winners of the NFL draft. I think some Patriots fans were like, all right, we're going to be able to solidify this offensive line. Let's go there. And sometimes there's some swings and misses on the offensive line with those early draft picks. Hopefully he is a hit from a Patriots perspective. The Bengals are the biggest sleeper in the AFC. Doubt it or all about it? You can go there.
I doubt it because, just say a sleeper? First off, we're thinking about them to be good. Now, we're talking about, a lot of times the slow starts that they've had. They've got an opportunity the first 2 games, right? They play Cleveland today, but the first 2 games are very winnable games. I think they got Jacksonville in week 2. But Mike Florio, look at their next 5 games after that. The Vikings, at the Vikings, at Denver, Detroit, at Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. They better win these first 2 games because that is a buzzsaw that could stifle some momentum, especially if their defense doesn't get on track the way their offense looked in preseason.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of faith in that defense, but I agree. How can you call a team with this much offensive firepower a sleeper? And the fantasy question is, people are always like, are they going to get off to a slow start? What are you going to do, sit Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins? No, if they are playing football, they are playing for you. And they're one of the only teams in the NFL that I think have 2 must-start receivers, a must-start running back, and quarterback.
Well, not shocking that you're all just name-checking dudes on the offensive side, because that is the reason why maybe people are focusing in on it, that sleeper tag, because there's so much concern about the defensive side of the ball for this team. But you're right. I mean, knocking on the door on the precipice last year, even with that slow start to make the postseason. All right, we got that news on Kyler Murray. I forgot to name-check or at least reference the jorts that he was wearing. Ugh. He can wear those. This is a make-or-break season for the Cardinals quarterback.
Oh, I doubt it. I don't think so. I think they're committed to him. And I've always been in Kyler Murray's camp. I think he's a really good player. They're a much better team with him. A lot of people are wondering, okay, does he hold them back? I don't think so, because usually when he plays, Mike, they win ball games. Right? When he's on the field, they are a better football team. He hasn't had pieces around him, and when they did, back in the days when they had D-Hop and those guys couldn't stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy. But I think this year, if James Conner and some of these guys, Trey McBride, you get some fantasy stuff out there. If everyone's healthy, I think Kyler Murray's going to have a big year. I don't think it's an issue for him at all.
I'm with you. I am in Kyler's camp, but I will say this is a make-or-break year for him for fantasy because last season, everyone went all in on Kyler Murray. They were pushing him up top 5 at the quarterback position. A lot of big-name analysts were backing him. And then he finished QB 10, and what happens when that happens is we blame the players, right? Everyone is like, oh, he didn't live up to it. No, we put too big of expectations on him. It was our fault. We swung and missed. But now it's led to Kyler, I think, being a great value in drafts. Like, you're getting him closer to QB 12 than you are top 5 in drafts this season. And where I have Kyler, which is a couple of spots, I'm starting him today because this feels like a really good matchup and one where he can run if he is 100% healthy.
I'm actually glad that Steve brought up McBride. I'm just curious, where do you think he ends up landing by the end of the season? He was the tight end position.
He was my tight end 1 ahead of Brock Bowers. Like I think touchdown, right? He was the most utilized red zone tight end last year. He has to have more than 2 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I thought it would be a bold statement.
It definitely is.
I didn't want to go there, but if Michael Frank Florio was saying it, then it's definitely legit. The Jets will end their playoff drought. Last time they were in the postseason, 2010. That is not pretty. Are you going all in on a playoff run for Aaron Glenn?
To stick with the theme of this segment, I doubt it.
Yeah.
No. I just don't see it. Look, I think their defense is fantastic, and they do have the potential. I'm not wiping them off the map, but I do think the fact that you've got coaching changes all across the board, coordinators, everything like that, it's going to take them a while, but they're going to be a tough out every week. And by the way, and I'm going to reference these. These are not the Richard Todd or Boomer Esiason Jets uniforms. These are the Al Toon Jets uniforms. I think they're going to be tough. I just don't think they make the playoffs quite this year.
Look, I grew up in New York as a Bills fan, and those 2 Rex Ryan AFC Championship runs, I didn't hear the end of it. They're not making the playoffs, and I can say that very confidently. But Justin Fields is going to be amazing for fantasy, I think. He is just underrated. When he was the Bears quarterback a couple years ago, he was top 6. Last season as the Steelers starter, he was on pace to be top 6. He's one of 3 quarterbacks ever with 1,000 rushing yards in a season. He holds the rushing quarterback record for a single game. And I think we get a tush push here from Fields and the Jets.
I like that.
They might not make the playoffs, but I had him as my QB 6 in my fantasy league.
How does Fields' ability to run with the football and be that weapon for that Jets offense affect Breece Hall and his status?
A lot of people think it's going to be a bad thing. I do think Braylon Allen is more the concern because last season, despite what everyone thinks, Justin Fields checked the ball down more than anyone, and with Tanner Engstrom being there from Detroit, I just think we're going to see a lot of design throws for Breece Hall. The Jets are very weak pass catcher-wise behind Garrett Wilson, and I think Breece Hall helps bridge that gap.
Mobile quarterbacks also open up the field for running backs as well. Let's look at Derrick Henry and Lamar.
Yeah, no.
Jalen Hurts.
How about that combo, right?
So that's something to look at as well.
One thing that I'll throw out here on this next question: Dolphins, should this offense be feared? A little bit earlier in the show, you're telling me, hey, Tua, this is make or break.
The offense, the offense should be feared in terms of scheme, in terms of skill, position, talent. But, brother, that offensive line
I know.
is an issue, and I spell that ISHEWWW. They have not fixed this offensive line. It's been a problem the past couple of years. Teron Armstead is not walking through that door healthy. Right, so...
No, he's podcasting.
He's podcasting and kissing it goodbye. And I think, Mike, this is something, if they can't fix this offensive line, this is a big problem because they've got skill, position, and scheme that where the offense should be feared.
Yeah, it should be. But for that, the weak offensive line and then the fact that, look, I know any offense, if their starting quarterback goes down, the house of cards crumbles. But it's different with Tua, and we know his history. And last season, Mike McDaniel and co, they changed the offense to just be like quick passes to Achane and Jonnu Smith, which is why I was afraid to draft Tyreek Hill at cost and Jalen Waddle, because I think they're going to continue to just harp on, like, get the ball out of your hands in under 3 seconds.
Both those dudes are pretty fast, though. And when they were rolling, it was some of those timing throws. Last season, and once again, because of those injuries, this offense, basically 20 points per game. It was 22nd in the NFL.
That's not good.
Not for this team.
No.
Like, they got to be like a top 7 offense to really make a push, and especially in that division. Like, if they're good, we should all be buying on this.
Well, and they're going to have to score because that defense, they've got some issues in that secondary.
All right, the Bucs, they're a Super Bowl contender. Doubt it or all about it?
I am all about it. I am banging the Bucs drum, fire off the cannon, because, we're talking about Baker Mayfield, but look at all the skill positions. Again, I think Emeka Egbuka is going to be up for the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is solid. Their defensive line is solid. If that defense stays healthy in the secondary where they continue to have repeated issues with players, I'm telling you, this is a team that could come out of the NFC. The Buccaneers, besides all of the talent, they've got a culture. I keep talking about it. Todd Bowles has kind of instituted when we step on the field, we're the team to beat mentality. And I just think they're going to be a very dangerous football team.
Yeah, they're definitely in the mix. I had the Commanders coming out of the NFC, which might be a hot take, but the Bucs are there. And for fantasy today, start Emeka Egbuka. Look, you're playing Baker, you're playing Mike Evans, but I think Egbuka in what should be a high score. Every time these two teams get together, Baker throws 3 touchdowns. So one might go Ibuka's way.
I think that this is the best wide receiver room in the NFL when they're healthy. How do you manage that from a fantasy perspective?
Well, with Chris Godwin, it sounds like we're not going to see him until October, so you have no choice. Hopefully you have an IR spot that you could simply just put him there. If not, you're going to have to use a valuable bench stash because you're not throwing Chris Godwin back onto IR. But for right now, I'm playing Emeka Egbuka with confidence until maybe it changes when Godwin comes back. But for right now, they're so banged up there, I think he's going to be the number 2 target. And he's a great talent as well.
Can I pat myself on the back or something when it comes to the Bucs receivers?
You want me to?
Yeah,
was I the first person on Cade Otton? I've been on him for a couple years now. Their tight end. He is a heck of a player.
Totally.
Fantasy-wise, what about Cade Otton?
He got sleeper. Like, he's not like you put him in every single week, but especially right now with Chris Godwin out, he's got sleeper upside because if this is a high-scoring game like we think, him and Egbuka are going to be competing for targets behind Mike Evans, and there's enough for 3 to go around. When you start to get to 4 or 5 deep, that's when you get concerned.
I can't wait till you text me like, oh, there's Cade Otton.
1,000%.
Do it like all the time.
And by the way, he is truly one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet. I actually was at his pro day. I watched a ton of his games when he was out in Washington. I don't know how many people would have imagined this type of performance because he, good stretches last year, was terrific in terms of finding that end zone. So I'm glad we're loving up a dog here. Can the Jags contend for an AFC South title? I don't know why I'm giggling while I'm reading even that question, but are you buying them?
You've got history. You've got history.
Yeah, because it's like, what?
But I'll put it to you this way. Yes, I'm about it.
Okay.
They can contend for it, right? That's the question. Talent-wise, they are there. And I know we're talking about Trevor. I talked about Brian Thomas earlier. Travis Hunter. Their defense is legit talented at all 3 levels. People forget that both their edge rushers are double-digit sack guys. Trayvon Walker is like the most under-discussed double-digit sack guy in the NFL. Josh Hines-Allen, and salute to his son coming out of cancer treatment, by the way, is a heck of a player. So I think when you look at this division, Houston is the king. If they get their offensive line right, they're the team to beat. But I think Jacksonville can crack the egg.
Real quick here, though, I said the same exact thing last season. They had talent a year ago.
Right, and we saw how that went. So that's why we're saying history is on the funny bone.
Yeah, that's why I kind of smiled.
I actually picked the Jags to win this division.
Oh, my Lord.
Coming
there you
into
go.
The season.
Wow.
Because I'm so high on Travis Hunter, I think come the end of this season, we're going to view BTJ and Travis Hunter how we view Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like, I think he is that good, and Look, I'm starting him everywhere I have him, which is a lot of teams in fantasy. But I think him and Brian Thomas' season could look very similar. Because while BTJ is getting Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain and all these number ones, Hunter's going to be eating 2s and in the slot. So I think that offensive power paired with the defense talent they have, and I have big concerns about the Texans' offensive line.
Yeah, those are legit concerns. So in other words, we're putting everything on Trevor Lawrence. You better show up this year because
it's now or never.
The pieces are there.
Brian Baldinger's been saying that this entire offseason.
Liam Cohen was hired to get him right.
Yeah. Biggest storyline today that you're keeping an eye out? Is there one that you would focus in on?
The biggest storyline today, I mean, it's Lamar and Josh Allen.
Oh,
I mean, which
yeah.
one of these MVPs is going to come and show out? And I think it's just going to be an all-star game.
That was going to be my answer as well. I think this is the biggest game of the season for both of these teams because it could be the difference between having to travel to that city in January. And I know it's week 1. We say all these games don't matter, but it matters a lot.
You know, one thing I want to add, Deebo Samuel, the player who we just have overlooked seemingly all offseason, I think he's going to be a big factor in the offense for the Commanders.
We saw in that backfield they traded Robinson to the Niners. Now I'm not saying that Deebo is going to be. There's going to be some usage in that backfield, just like we saw him utilize that way with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. So I'm with you, man. Like I'm so jacked up. That night game tonight is going to be absolutely tremendous. And you're right, they do count because I think back to what happened with Isaiah Likely in the back of the end zone against the Chiefs last year in the opener. Like all of these things really do mean something.
Absolutely. Baltimore finished one game behind them, and they won the head-to-head. That could have been home field for Baltimore.
It's unbelievable.
Way to be frank about it.
Well played.
Game Center, let's go. It starts right now.
Hello and welcome to NFL Game Center presented by FanDuel. I'm Patrick Claybon, and we have a great slate of games for you today. We've also got your social media reaction as well as highlights and live stats all right here available for you. I'll be back with you in just a bit, but for now, enjoy NFL Game Center presented by FanDuel.
delivers. Let's go!
Perfect Buffalo day as no flurries come down here on the field.
Welcome to a brand new season.
This is a de facto playoff game for them.
And the ball is caught!